Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about Pedri's evolution ever since he joined FC Barcelona. This is going to be a massive, but I mean like massive, deep research on the player. We're going to be very tactical, very specific, how Pedri did change his roles per season. And so I do hope you guys enjoy this one. And the reason why I am so inspired to speak about Pedri today is because Pedri just had an amazing game against Rayo Vallecano. In that game, he did have 90% pass accuracy, 61 out of 68 accurate passes, 2 chances created, 1 big chance, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 84 touches, 2 out of 3 tackles won, 9 recoveries, 6 ground duels won, and was the MVP for the match against Rayo. Even the coach of Rayo Vallecano stated, "For this match, we made a plan to stop Pedri. We tried. We analyzed how he plays, how he passes the ball. It makes me happy that he is getting continuity. He knows how to defend. He knows how to attack. It's a joy to watch him play." Hansi is also very pleased with the way that the doctors have worked with Pedri. He did say that Julio Tos and his team are doing an excellent job with Pedri and his physical condition. So it is a very big time for us to praise a player like Pedri, because Pedri is the heart of FC Barcelona. Without Pedri, Barcelona is a much different team. And so let's talk about that, right? So let's talk about the beginning of Pedri's journey at FC Barcelona. Going back to the 2020-2021 season, he was coached by Ronald Koeman. At the age of just 17 years old, Pedri arrived from Las Palmas and was immediately deployed as a left winger under Ronald Koeman in a 4-2-3-1 system. And the reason why Pedri played on the left wing position is because when he was at Las Palmas, he was a left winger, right? A pure left winger. This whole thing about Pedri playing as a 10 or a CDM or whatever, it's very new to his game. Through his childhood, he was always in a Leao or Nico Williams type of position, which is the reason why Ronald Koeman said, okay, in a 4-2-3-1 system, you, Pedri, will be playing on the left wing and sometimes verting through the middle and act like a free roaming 10. And then by December 2020 of that season, Ronald Koeman just gave him the license to officially be the main number 10 for FC Barcelona, as he was operating much better centrally and moved away from the left wing position after 6 months. And in that season, he had 73 appearances across club and country. It showcased his unprecedented workload and accumulated 3,982 club minutes, ranking second among La Liga's midfielders under the age of 21 years old. And in that season, he created an average of 1.8 key passes per 90, which puts him at 89th percentile versus all La Liga midfielders. In terms of ball progression, 6.33 progressive carries per 90 in the 94th percentile. In terms of the defensive work, 2.1 tackles plus interceptions per 90 minutes, which placed him in the 71st percentile. Koeman praised Pedri at that time, saying that he has Iniesta-like abilities to receive between the lines. He also won the Euro 2020 Young Player Award and validated his status completely, completing 92.3% of passes in the tournament. We moved on to the 2021-2022 season, and this is where things went downhill, because once we got into October 2021, he did experience a very big hamstring tear, the first of 4 separate muscle injuries that he did accumulate around that era, that limited him to only getting 1,287 league minutes. Compare that to the 3,982 minutes, he really did drop down in terms of game appearances. Xavi Hernández came in later in that season after Ronald Koeman was sacked, and Xavi immediately just placed Pedri when he did return into the double pivot position. And because of this conservative approach, it did reduce his progressive passes from 6.2 to 4.1 per 90 minutes when you compare it to the 2020-2021 season. The impact of with and without Pedri was very clear, because Barcelona won 68% of the time with Pedri, and without Pedri, it was 54% of the time where Barcelona did win. Barcelona's expected goal fell from 0.38 per 90 minutes in his absence. And so there was a lot of injuries in that season. 3 hamstring injuries, 1 quadricep injury, totaling 112 days missed. Even in that season, the medical staff admitted that they overused Pedri in his debut season, saying that they created a structural vulnerability, with FIFA Pro warning about inadequate recovery periods. So it was a huge blow. We move on to the 2022-2023 season, and this is where Pedri really did rise, because this was the exact same season where we did win La Liga and also the Spanish Super Cup. And the main reason why is because we saw a very strong Barcelona and at the same time a very strong Pedri. In this season, Xavi opted for a 4-3-3 formation with Pedri as either a false winger or a left central midfielder. Even though he did receive 2 more muscular injuries in that season, he still still had 12 goal contributions in 31 appearances that did reflect his growing end product. In terms of the shooting efficiency, he went from 0.15 expected goal per shot to 0.19 expected goal per shot. In terms of dribble success, it went from 64% to 71% in the final third. The defensive leap also improved, 1.4 tackles, so tactically he began to drop deeper to orchestrate the play, averaging 8.3 progressive passes per 90 minutes, placing him in the 91st percentile. Xavi even noted that he's developing to the complete midfield skill set. Now he dictates tempo rather than just exploiting spaces, which is a complete exit to whatever Ronald Koeman had in mind in the beginning. So it was a winning season for FC Barcelona and especially for Pedri. But then came the 2023-2020 season, which is going to be another drop for Pedri, unfortunately. And this was considered as Xavi's last season. We still operated in a 4-3-3 formation, and Pedri did have the role of a half-space connector. 42% of his touches occurred in the left half space, which is an improvement from 38% in the 2022-2023 season. He also contributed a lot in terms of the defense as well, with 2.1 tackles per 90, placing him in the 82nd percentile versus the league midfielders, paired with 1.7 key passes per 90, which is really good. So he started to become a much more balanced midfielder. He also had 7.3 progressive passes per 90 at 88.4% pass accuracy. So even though Pedri was placing a lot more passes than ever, Xavi still gave him a role that was, I would say, more conservative. For example, when we compare the 2022-2023 season and the 2023-2024 season, in terms of his goals per 90, he went from 0.21 to 0.09. In terms of the expected assists per 90, he went from 0.19 to 0.13. That's a 32% drop. And then in terms of progressive carries, he went from 6.1 to 5.4. So it was definitely a season where Xavi Hernández says, take less risk. And when you do make a final third pass or you try to make a key pass, you have to be very definitive and you have to make sure that there's a 90% chance that goes through. But overall, his volume was very low. And I believe that Xavi Hernández did, in the end, wanted him to improve his defensive metrics more than his attacking metrics. For example, in terms of the tackles won percentage, he went from 61% to 68%. That is an improvement. In terms of pressures per 90, he went from 18.3 to 22.1. In terms of interceptions per 90, 1.2 to 1.7. So that is a percent improvement from the previous season at that time. Xavi Hernández even clarified back on March 2024 that we needed Pedri to balance risk. His maturity lets him choose when to explode versus when to control. Unfortunately, Pedri did have more injuries in that season, right? 4 muscular absences, 58 days total where he had to be out. And because of this, Barcelona had to shift. For example, during Pedri's October 2023 absence, Gavi heat map shifted 18% leftward to cover the half-space duties. Frankie de Jong's progressive passes increased 23% from 4.1 to 5.1 per 90 minutes because he had to compensate for Pedri's creative dip. But unfortunately, that was not enough for Barcelona to improve because Barcelona's expected goal dropped from 0.29 per 90 to 0.19 per 90. So even though Pedri's defensive game did improve, his attacking numbers did not. And that could be part of the reason why players like Lewandowski, Rafinha could not benefit a lot and score a lot compared to what we are seeing today. That is because without a high attacking output Pedri, Barcelona is not going to get a lot. So clearly he was very important, but Xavi Hernández could not maximize the player. Now that brings us to the 2024-2025 season, which is the season that we are in. And Hansi Flick has really been able to maximize this player. He is sometimes as a dual 8, sometimes as a 6 in a 4-2-2-2 hybrid. His stats have exploded. In terms of progressive passes per 90, it's 7.9, placing him in the 98th percentile in La Liga. Shot creating actions per 90, 5.3, 94th percentile in La Liga. Pressures, 21.4 per 90, placing him in the 82nd percentile. Expected goal plus expected assist, 0.47, which places him in the 91st percentile. Pedri himself even noted, this pivot role lets me control the game's rhythm while improving defensively. His 92% pass accuracy against high presses does amplify this growth. And just for the fun of it, we're going to be comparing Pedri to Bellingham and Musiala since many of the people do like to talk about these players. And let's compare their expected goal plus build-up, press resistant percentage, and and tackle percentage. Pedri is 8.1 when it comes to expected goal plus buildup. Bellingham 9.3, Musiala has 7.8. So better than Musiala, but below Bellingham. In terms of press resistant percentage, Pedri is the most successful, averaging 89% with Musiala at 82% and Bellingham at 76%. In terms of tackles, Pedri is the most defensive one, winning 63% of the time. Bellingham 58 and Musiala 51. This is the reason why Hansi Flick wants Pedri in the double pivot position 99% of the time. It is because he is very press resistant and no player can take the ball away from him. And when Barcelona have to track back and gain the ball as fast as possible, Pedri wins 63% of the time, which is very impressive. So this data to show Pedri's unique blend of retention and defensive contribution is beautiful. As one of the La Liga scouts observed, they have stated he's not Iniesta's heir anymore. He's riding his own legacy. And lastly, this is going to be the heat map of Pedri's evolution on where he does the most damage on the field. As you can see here, on the far left is his first season, going all the way to the far right is the season that we are currently in. As you can see, right, he does take different positions now. He's much more effective today in this season by operating as a number 6 or a number 8. And you can definitely see his growth on our defensive half and becoming one of the leaders in terms of the build-up from the back. So that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.